Hello everyone. Our group will do the presentation about internal organizational communication during COVID-19. Below are the names and metric numbers of our team members. This is the poster designed by our group, and it is also the content we will demonstrate today. The importance of effective communication in organization during crisis, and how COVID-19 has affected organization, and how communication can play its roles during COVID-19 pandemic crisis. All the countries around the world have been challenged by the crisis of pandemic COVID-19, and it brings negative impacts to our global economy and affected society's health condition. Many organizations have really get affected by this crisis since last year in 2020. So, to maintain or improve the organization environment and the employees' work quality, effective communication in the organization during the crisis of this pandemic of COVID-19 is important among the employers and the employees. There are some important of the effective communication in the workplace during the crisis of pandemic COVID-19. Firstly, effective communication in an organization is to improve employee structure. In this important period to face the crisis, a strong team structure of the organization is very important, and effective communication can link a good relationship among employees and the employers to proceed with the operation of the organization. A solid team can be built through open dialogue. Workers would be more motivated to cooperate if they engage with one another, consider other perspectives, and discuss their success. Secondly, the importance of effective communication is to increase productivity in the organization. Many companies and industries' productivity affected by this crisis. So, some companies and industries cannot handle it in a better way, and causing a lot of negative problems. Everyone can efficiently interact at the project will help boost efficiency and effectiveness. Communication plays a role in reducing misunderstandings among employers and employees. When discussing a virtual meeting, misunderstanding seems to be the source of confusion and argument. If there is a misunderstanding, the workers may disagree with one another. Hence, they must encourage collaboration, since conflict frequently relates to negative behaviors that can negatively impact the company. In addition, communication also plays its roles to maintain communication personalized. COVID-19 is impacting people around the world today, as well as the appropriate interactions throughout this moment can consider the various interpretations that's seen from place to place. Every country is dealing with these situations with their own unique method, and therefore the communication mustn't really take a practical approach. The flow of information of the matrix organizational structure during COVID-19 pandemic crisis. The type of organizational structure is matrix organizational structure. Matrix structure allows the same employee to retain organizational and business links with the original functional department, while still participating in product or project teamwork, thus establishing a horizontal leadership partnership based on linear functions. There are 4 major functional departments that are supervised by various managers, which are production, marketing, research and development, R&D, and finance departments in the organizational structure. Thus, in matrix organizational structure, the organization's horizontal and vertical relationships combine to promote collaborative production, while also making the flow more versatile and adaptable. Whether it is online or hybrid, employees in different departments can still communicate and convey information, and keep the procedures of the project or activity. For example, for upward communication, employees from each department in the organization must check in with their respective department supervisors regularly. When the COVID-19 home office mode is activated, then they also need to report and submit their completed tasks and coordinate the progress of tasks. For the downward information flow, the managers of each department will give orders or instructions, feedback or suggestions for the work of related departments from top to bottom through Zoom meeting. Similarly, the organization's top leadership, the CEO or president, will also provide observation input and relevant guidance, and each department's managers and other project managers will report their related project's progress regularly. How communication culture during the crisis can enhance the organization culture. During the COVID-19 pandemic, employees face stresses and threats when they must cope with unforeseen disruptions of their normal working environments, while still dealing with a high degree of instability. Around the same time COVID-19 threw away usual job routines, it accelerated previously established patterns surrounding the transfer of work to online or virtual worlds. Working from home, has been common in some organizations, but it is not as efficient as conventional working routines. The first communication culture that can enhance the organizational culture during COVID-19 is to communicate directly, clearly, and regularly. Uncertainty, perceived risks, and anxiety may all contribute to cognitive freezing. Employees would have a harder time processing information that is confusing and abstract. Therefore, the leader must arrange the information simply. Leaders require the use of the appropriate words and vocabulary and tone during communication with employees. Communicating transparency is the second communication culture that can enhance the organizational culture during COVID-19. When an organization is more open and transparent with its employees, the organization is more likely to succeed. Employees would feel appreciated in this style of transparency during the COVID-19 pandemic. Implementing communicating transparency, particularly in regards to procedure and decision-making, is an easy way to improve efficiency. Celebrating the positive during the COVID-19 pandemic is also the communicating culture that can enhance the organizational culture. Sharing inspiring stories and producing uplifting memories by leaders are crucial components in re-establishing resilient spirits in an organization during a crisis. Employees require the sustenance of positive communication and interactions during organization performance downturns. The inevitable of depressing information such as declining sales, losing customers, and cost-cutting will easily reduce the motivation of employees. Creating a sense of belonging is a type of communicating culture that can enhance the organizational culture during COVID-19. Rebuilding a collective social identity and a sense of belonging built on mutual beliefs, norms, and behaviors are critical in the organization. At periods of confusions, social ties in the organization become deeper. Therefore, the leader should inspire people to bond together around shared ideals of cooperation and accomplishment. The role and power of leaders in an organization in maintaining the well-being of the employees and the productivity of the organization during COVID-19 pandemic. One of the most important roles of leaders in an organization is to maintain the well-being of the employees. Maintaining the well-being of the employee can keep the organization running more steadily during the pandemic time. One of the ways to maintaining the well-being of the employees is leaders in the organization can start practices to show more gratitude towards their employees. Due to the pandemic outbreak, people have to isolate and keeping distance from each other. Therefore, there is hardly any communication happened within the organization. When there is no communication, employees who aren't adapted to the new norm would feel less motivated and started to lazy around when working from home. Leaders showing gratitude and thanking their employees also means the leaders care about their employees. Secondly, leaders could practice self-care and stay active to look out for their employees' well-being. During the pandemic period, employees of the organization have to face a lot of barriers to overcome the situation, and it could cause stress for the employees. Leaders should limit the workforce among the team. Hence, employees know that they should be prioritizing their well-being as well. Leaders could also stay active, having activity with their team online, or even contact their employees personally could keep the morale of the team members up. With that, leaders and employees are more connected and employees' well-being are maintained. The first thing that leaders can do is prevent information overload in their organization. In this day and age, people can easily obtain news and information with just one touch of their fingertips. Some leaders tend to deliver information in a bulk with an email to their employees and hope that they would read it. This is the wrong approach, because often deliver irrelevant information to the employees could lead them to ignore those messages shortly. Next, leaders can set and enforce standards for their works. A set of standards also can be defined as a set of rules. During pandemic times, the one absolute fact that organizations are less productive is because of the lack of productivity from the employees. Leaders need to set standards to make sure their employees achieve the standards as well as make sure their employees are productive towards the organization. In the end, leaders play an important and major role in an organization in maintaining and leading the employees of the organization towards the goal that they're set, whether it is for social goods or personal goods. They are also the ones who inspire people that they can overcome any barriers in any kind of situation that could have to happen shortly. 2 challenges might the communication an organization face to share information during crisis. Lack of mutual knowledge. One of the largest challenges to the communication in an organization face to share information during a crisis is of lack of mutual knowledge. Mutual knowledge is the knowledge shared and understood by the team members. It also called that common ground. Hence, communication and experience can establish a basic base. Both are important tools in communication in the organization. During the communication, both parties in the organization must have a direct understanding of each other's activities involving roles and their responsibilities. They might share their experience while doing their job task. Ineffectiveness of the current information and communication technology. Communication technology is an effective method for the coordination between two parties of the organization. Communication networking improves the large-scale coordination between both organizations. The large-scale coordination will instruct at the same time. Some of the instruction about how, when, where need to communicate with them. The communication between teams needs to coordinate and used a series of information technology. Communication technologies such as computer systems, broadcasting, mobile phone, walkie-talkie and face-to-face interaction. Communication technology is so important in this case when we face sharing information during a crisis.